Hello everyone. So happy new year to all of you. This is my first video, right? In this new year. My so today's question is on acquisition and mergers. As you can see, question 24 to 29 covers your acquisition and merger. Right? So 24, this type of questions you will not expect in your answer in your paper, right? From 2000 September 18 it's changed. This is full theory paper. It is based on advantages and disadvantages of mergers and what are the you have some ethical issues relating to finance or regulatory and all those things. So first we'll go through the requirements and then we'll go through this short case study, right? So there are three. First one is discuss advantages and disadvantages like acquisition versus internal growth. This is easy, right? You can give from your knowledge also from a textbook. You must have known, and is for 5 marks, so 5 points, and B is 15 marks. B, assess the regulatory, financial and ethical issues in this case. So be careful, there are three requirements. One is regulatory, one is financial, one is ethical, and you are getting marks separately for each. Part C, propose a course of action that the company should now pursue, including a draft of any announcement that should be made, given that the board of Saturn system wishes to hold open the option of making a bid in the near future. This type of question is an open-ended question, right? And your answer for each candidate could vary. This type of question you can only practice through your the more papers you do, the more past papers you do, because this you cannot get the answer from your textbook. So no use of breaking your head going over your textbooks and finding where is the answer. I have never studied this part. This type question will come at least one or two questions, right? Even more than that, you will get in a paper, in your AFM paper, where you have like you'll be given a scenario like this where you have to recommend your course of action and you have to think, right? Here your thinking power matters a lot. You need to think outside the box, right? Everything will not be there from the textbook. Some things will be outside of that, beyond that. So you need to have the more wider knowledge you have, the more better you are to write this kind of answers. So now let's go through the requirements, right? It's three paragraph. Okay, so first one is saying Mr. Moon is a CEO of Saturn's system, a very large listed company in the telecommunication business. The company is in a very strong financial position, right? Strong financial position, this is a key word here, because it's for acquisition and merger. So you need to know that the company is in a very strong financial position, having developed rapidly in recent years through a strategy based upon growth by acquisition. Currently earnings growth are at all-time high, although the company's cash reserves are at low level following a number of strategic investments in the last financial year. So their earnings growth are at all times high, right? And the previous evening, Mr. Moon gave a speech at a business dinner and during questions made some remarks that Pluto Limited was an attractive company with great assets and that he would be a fool if he did not consider the possibility, like everyone else, of acquiring the company. Pluto is a long-established supplier to Saturn system and if acquired would add substantially to the market capitalization of the business. Now the last point needs to be underlined here. It's very important, right? Pluto. Who is Pluto? This is a supplier to Saturn, right? Pluto. And also the advantage if you acquire this is you need to remember, you need to write the advantages of acquisition. So this could be one of the advantages. If you acquire Pluto, what happens? It would add substantially to market capitalization. One advantage you got here itself. Second, Mr. Moon's comments were widely reported in the following morning's financial newspapers, and by 10 a.m. the share price of Pluto had risen 15% in out of hours and early trading. This is right, share price had risen to 15%. After what? After the comments. Mr. Moon's comment. The first that you, Saturn's CFO, heard about the issue, right? Who are you? You are the chief financial officer of Saturn system. The chief financial officer. What you heard is the issue was when you received an urgent call from Mr. Moon's office. You have just completed a background investigation of Pluto along with three other potential targets in, uh, instigated at Saturn's last board meetings in May. right? So you are also looking at other potential targets other than Pluto. You're doing a background investigation of Pluto. Following that investigation, you have now commenced a review of the steps required to raise the necessary debt finance for a bid and procedure you would need to follow in setting up a due diligence investigation of each company. Of course, you need to raise the necessary debt finance, right? When you have to go for an accusation, you need finance to finance the accusation, right? Now let's go to the last paragraph. So, on arriving at Mr. Moon's office, you are surprised to see the chairman of the board in attendance. Mr. Moon has just put down the telephone and is clearly very agita- uh, agitated. They tell you about the remarks made by Mr. Moon the previous evening and that the call was just taken from the Office of the Regulator for Public Companies. The regulator had wanted to know if a bid was to be made and what announcement the company intended to make. They have been very neutral in their response, pending your advice, but had promised to get back to the regulator within the hour. They knew that if they were forced to admit that a bid was imminent and then withdrew, that they would not be able to bid again for another 6 months. So they will not be able to bid another 6 months. Looking at you, they asked as one, what do we do now? After a short discussion, you return to your office and begin to draft a memorandum with a recommendation about how to proceed. So we know first is advantages and disadvantages of accusation. Now let's see how the answer has been given. We'll go through this, right? So here we are covering ethics and regulations relating to takeovers, right? So the top tips are that part A is a very straightforward question, advantages and disadvantages of accusation, right? This is easy. Part B, it is divided into three types of issues: ethical, financial, and regulatory issues. And each of them needs to be answered using separate headings, right? Here they have told that the solution relates to the UK city code, right? But in your paper, you will not expect a question on UK city code and all those things because it has been removed from. It is there in the syllabus, but it has been not asked after September 2018 onwards. I have never seen a question, right? So, but still is better. Let's see how they have gone through the answer. Okay. And some easy marks if you see part A as they told is straightforward, right? And also, it should have been easy to identify that the financial risk of Saturn could change if more debt was introduced, yes, into the capital structure to fund the acquisition of Pluto, right? We all know that if we take more debt, our capital structure will change. There will be a more financial risk, so that needs to be identified. And now let's go to the examiner's team's comments, right? Under most jurisdiction, what was said should be taken as a notice of intention to bid, whereas the company had neither estimated the value nor undertaken a due diligence study of the potential target. The many good answers to this question recognize the significance of the CEO's comment. You need this once, very important that you recognize this CEO's remarks and the weak position of the company in terms of both its state of preparation for an announcement and the regulatory implications of the remarks. Company is in the weak position. A small minority of the candidates did not recognize that there was a problem with the CEO's comment and spent considerable space discussing ways in which bid might be defended. It's a cross mark. You have spent your time on this thinking that is the how you are going to defend this. That's not what the question asked, right? That's not what the question asked. You need to be very clear what the question asked you, right? So that's not what is required. So overall candidates performed well in this, right? And here they have told that ethical issues concerning the transparency, availability of the price sensitive information would have earned more marks, right? Whenever it comes to ethical part, usually candidates do good. They perform well. So here how it is marked. First one is just 5, right? 1 point per mark, right? So you have to write 5 points to get the 5 marks. Part B, it is you can divide it as 3, 3, 4, and 5. 3 marks for the identification of the problems created by Mr. Moon's remark. You see, Mr. Moon, there's a problem with his remarks. Second is the significance of the price reaction, that 15% increase in share price that you need to talk about. Third, the firm's current position and identification of the holding position of the PR. And then ethical problems of what insider information, fairness to the stakeholders, avoidance of dissembling. All this needs to be discussed and is for 5 months. Finally, part C, your recommendation. So these are the two things they told. One is you have to issue an immediate press release. Immediate press release. Whenever something is harming your reputation and all, it's always better to issue a press release. That will be your first response. Second, draft of statement reserving the company's position under the 6-month rule. That's again 3 marks, right? So we'll quickly go through A. Most of it is easy, so I will just read it and go through it, right? I don't think I need to explain anything here. It is very clear and it's easy to understand, right? When you read it, you will be able to understand. So I will just quickly read it, right? Advantages. Acquiring an existing company is a speedier method of entering a new business than setting up a project using internal resources. Having an acquired business will already have customers and hopefully goodwill. So an acquisition will effectively eliminate a competitor and may allow higher profitability. Other advantages may come from combination of complementary resources of the acquiring and the acquired companies. Also because Pluto is a major supplier. You see how this is, they are talking about the general points. Here they are specific to the case study. They are linking it. You need to link. If you are writing general points, all general advantages and disadvantages, you will get only half a mark. That means out of 5, maybe 2.5 or 2 marks. You are not getting the full marks. Right? So also because Pluto is a major supplier of Saturn. The acquisition will help to secure Saturn's supply chain and could help reduce costs, which will be important in a competitive industry such as telecommunication. You know that telecommunication industry is highly competitive. Right? Always mark which industry you are at. Based on that, you will be able to come up with more points. You will be very specific to that industry when you come up with points also. So this is a telecommunication industry and it's very competitive industry. So in order to help you secure your supply chain and reduce the competition and reduce the cost, is better you take over your supplier, major supplier. Acquisition could also mean that the competitors are forced to seek alternative and perhaps lower quality suppliers. Now let's go to the disadvantages, the problems. So frequently a significant, right? Frequently, a significant premium must be paid in order to encourage existing shareholders to sell or outbid a rival. This may make it difficult to show a respectable return on the cost of the acquisition. Acquired company may not produce the exact product or service that the acquirer needs or may need significant investment before it conforms to quality requirements. Management problems are also quite common. Yeah, because of different culture, organizational cultures, and each individual has different way of working. Before the acquisition in their own companies, now they have been after the acquisition, they'll be forced to work in the bidding companies cultures and the way of it. So it's hard to adapt, and cultures are very difficult to change. And all because of the disputes, because of that disputes, loss of key staff members, resulting in reduced quality, or even in the establishment of competing business. Now let's go to part B. Part B is a long one, 15 marks. It is divided into regulatory, financial, and ethical issues. Right? So first we'll go through the regulatory issues. So as a large listed company, you see this they have taken from the case study itself. In the case study in the beginning itself, they told that this company is a large listed company. Why they are giving this piece of information to you? That this is a large listed company, this is an unlisted company, this is a small company. Why they give? In any paper you take, this will be the first line they will tell you. Because from that line itself, you will get all the information. How it is handled, how it is controlled, and all those things. So as a large listed company, we have an obligation to ensure that any remarks made in the public domain will not mislead investors. The City Court in the UK requires the maintenance of absolute secrecy prior to an announcement being made. This requirement falls on the person or who holds confidential information, particularly those information that might affect the share price. And every effort should be made to prevent accidental disclosure of such information. You see, the City Code in UK says that it's very important that you withhold the confidential information. You keep the information with yourself. You have to prevent any such accidental from accidents from happening where you accidentally disclose such information. Why? Because it can affect your share price very drastically. We saw the share price increased by 15% after that comments. So in order to protect that share price from going up and down, you need to keep the confidential information safe. You need to keep it confidential. You cannot leak. That's what City Code in UK is saying. The City Code specifically states that the false market must not be created in the shares of the target company. The remarks made last night no doubt contributed to 15% rise in Pluto's share price. You see how they are linking with the case study? In accordance with the City Code, Saturn Systems will be expected to make a statement of intention in the light of the effect of the remarks at the dinner. If it is stated that Saturn are not interested in making a bid, it will not be able to make another bid for 6 months. This is a regulatory issue. If they state that they are not making a bid, interested in making a bid, what happens? They cannot make another bid in 6 months unless Pluto's board recommends a bid that might be made by Saturn. Another way in which this restriction could be waived is if another offer is made by third party, right? To know all this information, how the city code and all, you need to go through your textbook. It is there if you want to know about it. UK city code and all, how it works. What are the rules under that? Financial issues. Saturn systems are in a strong financial position, right? I've told you. Please underline that. At the moment, which may be one of the reasons the market interpreted the remarks as being significant. You see, whenever a company who is in a strong position, strong financial position, when they make any comment or remarks, it is taken very seriously in the market. It is considered very significant, right? So accordingly, you see your share price also will change very drastically. It will go up and down. So because Saturn system is having a very strong financial position, it needs to be more careful now with the remarks they are making. So there's a 15% increase in Pluto share price indicates that the market now says Pluto has been a target for takeover and that Saturn may be interested in buying the company. One problem is that Saturn system is only in the early stages of investigating Pluto. You see, they haven't investigated Pluto in full. They're only in the early stages and has not yet conducted a due diligence study. It does not know what the company is worth as a valuation has not yet taken place. Have the case study told anything about valuation? No. So these are the points you can come up with. They haven't told anything about valuation. You can write it down. Yes, the company, we don't know how much the company is worth. Has valuation not taken place? As the remarks apparently contributed to a 15% increase in share price, Saturn will now have to pay more for the Pluto. Right? Because that share price increased of the Pluto, of the target company, what happens? Now you need to pay more for the target company, more for Pluto, if it decides to make a bid. This we all know, right? This could affect the financial position. We are talking about financial issues. So we always have to link this with our financial position of whom? Of Saturn. What's happening to the financial position of Saturn? We need to see. Financial issues, right? So we need to talk about finance. This could affect the financial position as it may be unable to raise the extra finance required to cover the additional cost. Because now you have to pay more to buy the Pluto, what happens? You need extra finance. Where will you get that extra finance from? Right? So maybe you have to take a loan and now you have to take a huge amount of loan. So because of this loan, it will affect your gearing, it will increase your financial risk, it will affect your financial position. You see, all these are having impact on your financial position. As well as the issues above, there is a likelihood of the extra debt affecting the financial risk profile. As just now I told you, financial risk will increase. The acquisition of Pluto could also affect the business risk exposure. How? Financial risk could be understood because our debt and gearing will increase, and how business risk will affect. Because they might have other inherent risk, right? Pluto, they might have other inherent risk. There will be other inherent risk in Pluto which you might not know when you are acquiring, which you come to know later, which is hidden when you are going to value the company or see its financial statements and all. There might be other risks. So this also there could be an effect on that also. So as a result, Saturn cannot value Pluto without revaluing the existing business. You need to revalue the existing business to value Pluto. If Pluto's value exists, the increase in Saturn's value. If the accusation took place, you should not proceed with the purchase. Please understand this sentence. Again, I am repeating. When you read this first time, you will not understand what they are saying. If I'm putting a line from here to here, the last sentence. If Pluto's value exit the increase in Saturn's value. If the accusation took place. So when an accusation takes place, who should get the most benefit out of it? The acquirer or the target company? Think practically, logically. The one, why am I? Ask this question from yourself. Why am I acquiring this company? So that my value increases, right? My value should be more after the accusation, it increases. So in that way, the one who is acquiring, his or her value should increase more than the target company's value. The benefit should come to him, that benefit. If that benefit is not coming to the acquirer and is going to the target company after accusation, then what's the use of that accusation? Why would the acquirer want to target that company? Right? So therefore, they should not proceed with the purchase. They should not go with the accusation of that company. That's what they meant here. If Pluto's value exists, the increase in Saturn's value. Saturn's value should be more, then only accusation will go ahead. Otherwise, it should not go ahead. Now let's go to the ethical issues. Right? Every AFM paper, at least around 5 marks, you will get a question on ethics. You can never ever ignore it completely. You will get ethical questions. You have to be prepared for a question on ethics. Ethics is everywhere, especially in your P levels. All the P levels, if you see, you will get ethics. All the professional papers, you will get ethics. 5 marks, 6 marks, 7 marks, you will get a question on ethics. That is 100% sure. Whether you take SBR, SBL, AFM, ATX, audit, performance management, anything you take, audit will be, ethics will be there. You can never bypass ethics, and so you need to learn ethics. So ethical issues, there is now a dilemma of how to proceed. Saturn has made no secret of the fact that it was to grow by acquisition rather than organically. Therefore, it may not be ethical to deny any interest in Pluto. So it was one of the 4 potential targets discussed at the last board meeting, and investigations had been conducted into the company as well as reviewing the steps necessary to raise the finance for acquisition. Yes, they have some other targets also, right? So 4 acquisitional target was there. In order to maintain its commitments to the transparency of information, it is recommended that Saturn clarifies its intention. Now let's go to part C. Right? Saturn system. Now this is on your, so how we'll see how this answer is there, because maybe you have a lot to learn from this. Right? So Saturn should release a statement. So this is one course of action, right? Course of action means when someone has to do something. When you're telling someone you have to do something, you should do something, you must do this, that is a course of action. So Saturn should release a statement to clarify the position regarding Pluto. It should confirm that it is looking into the possibility of an accusation of Pluto, but make it clear that the board has decided not to make a bid at this time. However, it should be made clear that Saturn system reserves the right to make a bid or take any action that would otherwise be prohibited under the 6-month rule should Pluto's board agree to an accusation, or if any other company announces intention to make an offer. Right? So this means Saturn will still has the chance to complete its investigations and develop a bid proposal before entering into negotiations with Pluto's board. You need to talk about the 6-month rule, and you need to talk about releasing statement. So that's it for this this question, right? So watch my videos, right? I'll be coming up with all the solutions from AFM. And thanks for all those subscribers, right? And waiting to see more subscribers. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, share these videos with your friends and all, and benefit everyone. Best of luck.